So howdy, folks. Welcome to the January 2023 edition of Cattle Trails Showcase. Can't believe it. Happy New Year to all of you. I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. Mighty glad to be your host. Before we get into our featured community today, there is a picture that I wanted to show. And so I'm going to try to do that. I hope you can see this image that is from Sundance Square in downtown Fort Worth. I'm on location in Fort Worth. We're down visiting our daughter here in Fort Worth, and our boys are doing the chores at the ranch. In downtown Fort Worth, there is an open block that's used for public entertainment. Steve knows this a whole lot better than I do, but every Friday night they have some entertainment, and tonight we're going down to Sundance Square for the Western Entertainer, as we've done in the past. On the side of this beautiful Sundance Square, this open space, is this phenomenal mural. This mural that you're seeing in the picture is 3 stories tall, and of course it shows, and it's kind of a 3D look almost, but you see across the bottom 1867 to 1875 Chisholm Trail. So it's another representation of how Fort Worth has embraced their Chisholm Trail heritage. So we really enjoy that, and I thought it was just coincidence, it's pure happenstance that today we're discussing the Chisholm Trail and the attractions in Kansas, and then tonight we'll get to go be in front of the Chisholm Trail mural down in Sundance Square. But our main program today is that we're zooming to Abilene, Kansas, the trailhead of the Chisholm Trail, to learn about a new and very special landmark. The purpose of the Cattle Trails Showcase is to continually highlight the communities, historical elements, museums, and other attractions along the Chisholm Trail and the Western Trail. This showcase is brought to you by the International Chisholm Trail Association, of which Dennis Katzmeyer is president, Michael Grauer is vice president, Nancy Lawrence is secretary, and Mary Lou Rivers is our treasurer. And Lonnie Steben is our showcase chair. There is a brand new landmark that has emerged in Abilene, Kansas, and we think it's the world's largest of its kind. And so we're excited to hear about that. Sharolyn Adams is with the Abilene Convention and Visitors Bureau, operates the Visitors Center there in the historic train depot in downtown Abilene. She's going to tell us about it. Sharolyn, are you at a place where you could share screen? We'll try to bring that presentation up.
Oh, now it won't let me do window. All right, I'm sorry. Just a minute, please. Here we go.
Yeah, it was loaded up and then it dropped off.
Before it was.
Well, and when I went to share the picture from the Chisholm Trail mural, that
all Ron's fault.
Off, but there should be a way to hit share screen again and get back on.
And I'm hitting share screen, and then before it would let me share it, it would let me click on window and it would share it. Now it won't do that.
Have you got the video loaded up?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see here. Why won't it let me do that? I am so sorry.
No, I may have messed this up.
Let's see, why won't it do that? Oh, wow.
Well, we can assure you we did it yesterday and it's there. So.
It worked right yesterday.
Yeah.
I wonder, am I still a co-host, Ron?
I just made you a co-host.
Okay.
To see if that would help.
Still won't let me go to that. I am really sorry.
Hey, I see. I saw it for a second. There. Now we see it.
I think
Sharolyn,
you're muted.
you are muted, but we are seeing your slides. So as soon as you can unmute, I think we should be good to go. Well, now why does that pop back to the title slide? So Sharolyn, it appears that you're muted. We had the slideshow up for a minute. Okay. Your mute's gone on and off. Right now you're muted from what I can see. Okay, now you're unmuted.
Good. All right, now get back to this. Now, can you hear me and see the screen?
Yes, and
All
close,
right.
that looks great. And the closer you get to the mic, the better.
Oh, okay. All right, I think we're good to go. And can everybody hear me?
Fine. Yeah, hear you good.
Okay, great. Okay, I have asked Ron if he would recite a poem that he wrote about Abilene and the Chisholm Trail. And Ron, if you would do that now, please, that would be perfect.
Thanks, Sharolyn. So the poem is titled Abilene. Of all the cities in the West, is there a name so keen as the great cow town which started it all, the town of Abilene? In 1867 is when it all began. A man named Joe McCoy came west with one exciting plan. He knew of longhorn cattle down in Texas ranging free and thought their beef would help to feed a growing society. He traveled down the railroad till the perfect spot was seen, a quiet little village we now know as Abilene. So Joe McCoy built stockyards here to draw those Texas cattle, recruiting herds to come this way and win the shipping battle. He had the drover's cottage built for cattlemen to stay, while Texas Street became a place where drunken drovers play. Marshal Tom Bear River Smith would enforce the law, as did Wild Bill Hickok, who was mighty quick on the draw. The drovers found a good place for them to commune in Shotgun Ben Thompson's Bull's Head Saloon. So among the key cow towns, the town of Abilene was first, where the wild, wild west became the wildest and the worst. Down south, there was a trading post where Wichita now stands, and Jesse Chisholm traded goods with Southern Indian bands. The drovers followed Chisholm tracks until they could prevail. Their route would be forever known as the historic Chisholm Trail. And the trailheads where those railroads and the cowboys would convene became famous worldwide as the cowtown Abilene.
Great.
Thank you. I just love that poem.
Thanks, Sharolyn.
As Ron said, I'm Sharolyn Adams, and I'm the tourism assistant here at the CVB, and I operate the Visitors Center from 10:30 to 2:30 Monday through Friday. And our most recent project is really the first one that I've only been here 9 months, so this was the first one that I was really a big part of, and I absolutely love this belt buckle. These are some of the awards we won during the last year. And here's the unveiling of the big buckle. It's still very exciting to me. That day, it was December 21. I think it was the coldest day we've had for about 5 years. But it was so much fun when they unveiled it and seeing all the people gather and how exciting that everybody was, how excited that it didn't even really seem that cold. I had seen it in 4 big pieces, but I hadn't seen it put together. And when they unveiled that, it does something to you. It's incredibly, it's huge and it's just gorgeous. And the longhorn in the center is turquoise quartz, and all the turquoise in there really stands out and adds a lot. It's just I think it's beautiful, and I know I'm partial to it, but it really is beautiful. On the back, you can see in this picture, we have a spiral staircase, and you can climb up the spiral staircase and go on that platform and stand there and have your picture taken. It looks like you're wearing the world's largest belt buckle. So that's really fun. Julie prepared these slides, and I have been asked this question quite a bit. Why would Abilene want to build the world's largest belt buckle? And my thought is because it's cool. But like Julie says, why not? The buckle does celebrate Abilene and our cowtown heritage, and I think it draws people to town. And it is, like we were talking about earlier, it is fun to have something that's the biggest in the whole world. There isn't another one like it or as big. The man who created, designed it, and built it is Jason Lahr, and he's a local man. He's a welder, and he's just incredibly talented. He's in the picture here. You can see, as in Ron's poem, it talked about that shotgun Ben Thompson's Bullhead Saloon Longhorn, and Jason made the case for that you can see, and it's stored down at Old Abilene Town. When you go visit Old Abilene Town, you can go in several of the buildings and see different things, and that's one of the things in one of the buildings downtown in Old Abilene Town. Jason also made this, the Abilene Cowboy, they call it. It's at the high school, and it's really cool too. Then Abilene mascot is Abilene Cowboys, so that's just perfect. This is the back of the buckle, and as you can see, it even has the hinge, and you can't see it on this shot, but it has the pin like a real belt buckle does, so that you can attach it to the belt. And he went all out. He did all the details. Also on the back, we had 100 supporters that helped us with the project, and they're listed on a metal sign. That's a permanent sign that you can see there. There's another one that lists more of the supporters. And let's see, this talks about what's on the belt buckle. The Longhorn, as I said, it's, when we were looking at it before, you probably noticed the beautiful turquoise Longhorn. It's made of turquoise quartz. And the wheat, I didn't know when I saw it in 4 pieces before we put it together and displayed it. I didn't know the wheat would even be on there. So that was really, I'm a wheat farmer's daughter, and my husband's a wheat farmer. And so that's pretty special to me too. And it celebrates the Wheat King of Kansas, T.C. Henry. Also, Wild Bill Hickok, that was the marshal during the really rowdy days when the Chisholm Trail was coming through here. And he tried to get things in order, and I don't think anybody could tame him. So they finally, I guess, just chased him out of town, and the Chisholm Trail didn't go to Abilene anymore. The C.W. Parker Carousel Horse is on there, and C.L. Brown Telephone. Those are both part of our Heritage Center, which is a museum that has a lot of just really neat things, information about Kansas history. And then the carousel is out back. It's a 1901 C.W. Parker carousel, and you can ride it still, over 120 years old. Excuse me just a second. My mouth got too dry. And also on the belt buckle is Dwight Eisenhower as a general before he became president. And the historic Sealy Mansion, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a little bit. And then the Racing Greyhound, which the Greyhound Hall of Fame is here in Abilene. And one of my favorite things to do in the whole world is go to the Abilene and Smoky Valley Railroad, ride the steam engine and the train. And that's represented on there as well. And how big is it? I just call it 20 feet by 14 feet. It's 19 feet, 10 and a half inches by 13 feet, 11 and a quarter inches, not including the frame. It's 4 feet off the ground. So when you climb up to the top to get your picture taken and you're standing on that platform, you can see the rodeo. I mean, you can watch the rodeo from up there. It's right by the fairgrounds and rodeo arena. And it's just really pretty and cool. This is a picture of Julie, my boss, Julie Roller Weeks, and she's receiving the check from the Kansas Tourism Attraction Development Grant that helped pay for it. And also, as I said, the 100 businesses and individuals who each made a donation of $200. And with that donation, they received one of only 100 belt buckles that were numbered, and they have their name listed on the back of the belt buckle, the big one. There were two world's largest belt buckles before we made ours. The first one is on the right, and it's in Missouri. And then the second one was made by Montana Silversmiths in Texas. And those two are not too much different in size, but ours is a lot bigger. It doesn't look like it in those three pictures, but ours is quite a bit bigger as you read the descriptions down below. Some other things in Abilene, we call it the Cowboy Art Trail. And as I mentioned before, the Abilene Cowboy that's at the high school. The next thing you see is a project that just was completed in August. All of a sudden, all these about 4-foot high cowboy boots turned up all around town, different places. Each one has a different theme. The one that you see in the picture here is the one that's right out in front of the CVB, and it's called the Rose Garden boot. And there are all different themes. The one in front of the high school is called the Varsity Letter boot, and it has a big A on it, of course, for Abilene. And I think it would make really neat cowboy boots for real that people could wear that would look just like that one. We have, my favorite one is the Moo boot. It's in Old Abilene town, and of course it has a cow on it. And they're just, each one has its own theme, and it's really fun. And there are quite a few people that come into the Visitors Center and ask me, where are all the boots? I want to see the boots. And so it has added a lot to town. We have a lot of murals around town. You can see two of them here. The Wild Bill Hickok mural is, I think, particularly cool. And then the middle school has the Longhorns mural, and their mascot is the Longhorn. So that's that's probably my favorite of all the murals. And then, as you can see in the picture, we're talking about the world's largest. This spur is not the world's largest. It was for a while, but someone made one bigger. That it's still cool, and Abilene still loves it, and a lot of people come to see that. So we're getting several things around here that are the world's largest.
Howdy, friends. How you doing? It's Jefferson White here, Jimmy from Yellowstone. Listen, you know that I would risk my life for a good belt buckle, and I am so excited that my friends in Abilene, Kansas, which was named True West Town of the Year and Best Historic Small Town, are building the world's largest belt buckle. It's built by local artist Jason Lair. This buckle is huge, and it highlights Abilene icons, including Wild Bill Hickok, Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Celia Mansion, and Abilene's Chisholm Trail Cowtown roots with a longhorn in the center. You can even climb a spiral staircase to the top to take your picture wearing the buckle. So you can contact my friends at Visit Abilene to learn more. Their office is in the train station downtown. So this one time, go to the train station. Bye, y'all.
That was one of our promotions. And as you can see here, we've promoted it quite a bit. People are hearing about it and coming to Abilene. Here are some pictures of some of the people that have come. It's only been revealed 3 weeks ago, and already we've had a lot of people come by to see it. And I took my husband to see it this past Sunday. And just while we were there for just a few minutes, there were 6 other carloads of people that came by, and a bunch of them took pictures, and some of them just kept on driving, but they slowed down and looked at the belt buckle. So it's quite an attraction. That's a picture of my husband and me. And now I'd like to talk about some of the things that are on the belt buckle. The Eisenhower Museum is the one thing that I think brings the most people to our town, and it's just an incredible museum. I had gone when I was a kid, but 3 years ago they redid it, and it has a lot of videos and different things. One thing that I thought was very thoughtful of the people that designed it, just when you're tired of standing, the next thing that when you go around the corner, you need to sit down and watch a video. And that happens several times while you're going through the museum. I thought that was really thoughtful of the people that are coming to see it. And it just has all kinds of stuff. It's a lot about when he was general, and it's a lot about when he was president, and just some about when he was growing up too here in Abilene. And I've had just in our visitor center, and there may be probably people from more states even that go to the Eisenhower Museum, but I've had people from 42 states and 3 different countries come in to see us and ask about Abilene just in the 9 months I've been here. So people come from all over to see it, and it's worth it. This is the Seeley Mansion, and Dr. Seeley was a pharmacist, and he had this home built in 1905. In 1904, while it was being built, his two daughters went to the World's Fair in St. Louis and picked out all the furnishings, all the furniture and the china, and just everything that's in there came from the World's Fair in 1904. And it's still the same things that they got in 1904. It's not a replica of those things. They just have taken that good a care of it. It's all still in there. And there's a man who lives there now, and he does a tour and tells you all about it. He has a really lot of neat, interesting stories. And there are 25 rooms in the Seeley Mansion. And one is a bowling alley. There's even a 1-lane bowling alley, and you get to bowl. And I'm no better at that kind of bowling. It's a different kind of a bowling ball. And I'm no better at that than I am at the bowling alley, but it's still a lot of fun. And I love it that they let you try it. And it's not your ordinary mansion. It's really worth going on tour there. This is the steam engine of Abilene and Smoky Valley Railroad. And right now it's being overhauled. Every 15 years it has to be overhauled. But the law requires it. And so, but we still have our diesel engine, and we have, during the summer, the runs are from Thursday through Sunday. And in the wintertime, they don't run all the time, but they still have a dinner train every once in a while. They had Santa trains, and they have another train coming up in the end of January, and then I'm sure there will be a sweetheart train for Valentine's Day, different things like that. And on just a normal run, you go over to Enterprise, Kansas, and it stops at the grist mill, Hoffman Grist Mill, and you can actually watch them milling flour and corn and see the flour and the corn meal, and you can buy little bags of it from them that have been milled there. So that's a neat little thing that's part of the train ride. This is Great Plains Theater and live entertainment right here in Abilene. This was August 2nd. We entertained and hosted travel writers from across the United States, and we had a cattle drive right through Old Abilene town. And that I absolutely love this because I love the cattle, and especially the longhorns are really fun. And after they went through just so everybody could watch them, just when they drove them through town, they put them in the pens, and people all gathered around and were very interested in seeing the longhorns. And then they loaded them onto the train. And I found it fun to watch. I knew they would know how to get on there, but their horns are too wide to get them through the door. But each one of them, when they went through, they'd tilt their head and just walk in like they'd done it a million times. So that was one of my favorite things. This is our Greyhound Hall of Fame, and the little girl you can see loves Ginger. That dog is named Ginger. And when you walk into the Greyhound Hall of Fame, nobody greets you except for the dogs. I walked in thinking a person would come around the corner, and here came the dogs and greeted me, and I found that to be, that's adorable. The Jeffco Photography Studio and Museum is downtown, and I know we're all photographers now since we have our cell phones, but this is the real deal, and it's a neat museum. This is the Eisenhower Rose Garden and Park, and look how beautiful it is. It's just a perfect place for people to just go sit down for a few minutes on one of the benches or just walk around. And I think we're really lucky to have that in Abilene. It's quite a beautiful scene. And this is the Visitors Center. This is where I am right now. It's the old train depot. And we've had quite a few people come in and just want to see the old train depot. And we have trains go by every day. And it's the, now I can't think of the name of the train, but anyway, Union Pacific Railroad is who it goes through here. Let's see, is that the last slide? I guess that's the last slide. If everybody wants to unmute and see if anybody has any questions, please.
Folks, how about a round of applause for Sharolyn? Thank you, Sharolyn, for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Steve Myers in Fort Worth, Texas. I was talking to one of the representatives from the Texas Historic Commission in Denison, Texas, and he was telling me that you have a partnership with Denison, Texas, on the Joseph G. McCoy, who built a slaughterhouse there after he left Abilene, Kansas, and also the birthplace of President Eisenhower. So have you worked with Denison, Texas on any of these projects?
I haven't. I've only been here 9 months. I can find out if you'd like. I'll give you a call and find out what information I can and let you know. I apologize that I don't know about that. I know we just have a brochure for Denison, Kansas because he was born there, but that's all I really know about that.
Thank you.
Sharolyn, the railroad is called the Abilene and Smoky Valley Railroad. Does the Smoky Valley refer to the Smoky Hills up at Ellsworth?
Wow. Well, I thought we were all
Smoky
part
Hill.
of
It's the Smoky Hill, River, right? That cuts across central Kansas. You have the Smoky Hills to the west, and then the valley where the Smoky goes by Abilene, right?
Okay, I think you're probably right. Thank you.
This is Steve again. I think you've done a great job there in Abilene. I grew up and graduated from Junction City, Kansas. So I remember as a kid going to Abilene and seeing old Abilene town and all the things. One of the things I noticed the last time I was back there, do you have a lot of signage up showing Abilene with all these things that you have to offer from I-70?
Yes, we do. I think that's what draws people to come into town. There are, when you're driving really probably clear from back at Junction City and all the way, I don't know how far west, but we have signs all along I-70, and it really, people do stop in just because they saw the sign. A lot of people have told me that and said, we saw a sign that said, you know, whatever, the 1901 carousel, where is that? And so then I'll tell them about it, and it's in the Heritage Center. But the signage does make a lot of difference. That does draw people in.
Great.
Sharolyn, what month do you celebrate the Chisholm Trail in Abilene?
September 5, 1867 was the first time that the cattle came up here and got on the train, and the first load left Abilene. And so that's when we celebrate it. A few years ago, they brought the longhorn cattle along up here, and we had a parade down the street, and they had old wagons, and I loved that. And then you could even sit on one of the longhorn steers and get your picture taken, and it was a big event.
Do you have music performers?
Yes, country music mainly, but.
Would I contact you if I wanted to apply for being one of the performers?
Sure, yes, please.
It was the 150th anniversary of the Chisholm Trail that Abilene put on a huge event, and that's the one I think Sharolyn's referring to. And Tom, you're right. Our Kansas chapter of the International Western Music Association put on a major show. My gosh, they've had Red Steagall, they've had Michael Martin Murphy, and as well as our Kansas IWMA members, as Tom is an IWMA member with me and others. That was a phenomenal show that, and still I think around Labor Day weekend, that's an ideal time to be in Abilene for these events.
So you have performers every September for the weekend?
I believe they do have music performances, and not just one or two. I think it goes all day long and into the evening and part of the night. It's a big, Chisholm Trail Days are a big deal in Abilene.
Good.
And draw people from other cities, and yes.
Sharolyn, I had a question. Many years ago, my wife and her family went to the Eisenhower Museum, and we have a picture of her taking, when she was a teenager, taking a picture in one of Mamie's gowns. And do they still do anything like that for kids coming through?
A lot of people have told me they've had that similar kind of an experience, and I'm not aware that they do that anymore.
Okay. That would be fun to take the grandkids and have a similar picture.
It would. Well, kids love to come to Abilene. There are a lot, especially in the summertime when you can ride the train, and Old Abilene Town is open, and on Saturdays and Sundays they have gunfights and can girls, and go get a sarsaparilla in the Alamo Saloon, and that's a root beer. And it's great for kids. And the Eisenhower Center, I mean, it's the library is open again now. It wasn't for a while because of COVID, but they finally opened it a couple months ago. But the museum isn't just something that adults like. Kids do seem to like the museum, and you know, they're in learning mode. When you're a kid, you're in learning mode, and you learn a lot. I learned a lot about Eisenhower that I didn't know. I have a new love and respect for him, even more than before.
Sharolyn, this is Rick Anderson with the Kansas Historic Society in Topeka. I was going to mention Abilene has several things on the National Register, but that locomotive is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. A lot of states will have schooners and boats and things like that, but we're pretty unique here in Kansas to have a locomotive.
Very, very much so. I remember it used to be in a city park. And when I was a kid, we used to go climb on that steam engine that is now running again. And I know it was one of the men that is a volunteer with the railroad made a comment, and I thought it was cute. He said, that's the only train engine that will die of boredom because it just goes slow from, from Abilene to Enterprise, but it used to go over 100 miles an hour. And I would love to have seen it in its day going over 100 miles an hour.
Well, I've got that on my bucket list to get a cruise or a ride on there.
Like, please come to Abilene. I want to go on the big boy train sometime when it goes through Abilene, but it's been here twice. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is big.
Sharolyn, this is Ron. You mentioned that there were some donors that for $200 could get one of the 100 numbered original belt buckles. Did I hear you say the other day that there's also an opportunity to purchase a buckle or make a donation and receive a buckle now?
Yes, we had so many people that called after we ran out of the first 100 that we will be getting some more. Your name won't go on the sign, and you won't have a number on the back, but it will be $100 to donate instead of $200, and you'll get a belt buckle. It'll be identical to the other ones, other than it won't be numbered. So if that's anything that anybody that wants one, just give us a call, please.
And so that would be through the Visitor Center, through the
Yes.
CVB that those would be arranged.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And the Eisenhower Park and Rose Garden, I love Abilene. I was one of those kids that went to Old Abilene Town and just had an absolute blast playing on the streets of Old Abilene Town when I was a kid, and really enjoy the attractions. I'm not familiar with the Eisenhower Rose Garden. Is that on the Eisenhower Museum grounds, or is that a separate location?
No, it's over by the fairgrounds. It's right across the street from the world's largest belt buckle.
Okay.
It's on Pine Street. And it's just a little bit north of our main street going east and west is 3rd Street. And it's just a little bit off of that, probably a block and a half off of 3rd Street.
Thank you.
So if
Sharolyn,
you find the world's, pardon me?
This is Dennis Katzenmeyer from your competitive city, Ellsworth. We got all your drifters and cowboys and drovers after you got done with them. But I wanted to commend Abilene. I worked with a lot of the businesses in town back in my days in sales, and just a wonderful group of people. I always enjoyed going over there, and I've made a lot of good friends in Abilene. I was involved with the theater and the rodeo and Eisenhower and all those. And I really miss that. But I just want to commend Abilene because they're, I'd run a little bit parallel with Dodge City, but you didn't have Boot Hill and all that to help you along. But you guys have recognized your heritage. You have really utilized it in economic development. You've really done a super job of taking what you have and making something out of it. And I really do want to commend Abilene for all they have done.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I love Abilene. I'm a Chapman girl originally, which is 10 miles east of here, but still Dickinson County. So I grew up here, and I think it is a neat little town. I think for as small a town as it is, we have a lot going on, and it's a great place for people to come. And that's why people come from all over the United States to see Abilene.
The other quick comment I want to make about Abilene is I've got an old historic home here in Ellsworth, and Abilene, of all the towns that I have visited, probably has the largest number of historic heritage type Victorian homes than any other town in Kansas. I was very saddened when the Kirby House got burned down. That was a huge, fantastic facility.
Yes, it was.
But you guys got a lot to be proud of, and really, I had even thought at one time of moving there because I was always so impressed with what Abilene had to offer. But I like being second fiddle in Ellsworth, so.
We'd love to have you move to Abilene. Come on over.
Okay.
Sharolyn, this is Lonnie. Is the Brookville Hotel, I don't think it's called the Brookville Hotel anymore, but is it open again?
It is open. It's called Legacy Kansas now. And I just ate there Sunday. I can give you the phone number for reservations if you'd like, or you can look it up. Their website is, you can just type in Legacy Kansas, Abilene, Kansas in it, and it'll go right to it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Okay.
One of my favorite things in Abilene was going out and visiting that chocolate factory. Is it back up and going? I'm a chocoholic and I'm allergic to it. So you tell me talk about my dedication. Yes. Is it back open where you can go in and buy chocolate and have a good time there?
Yes, you can. It's open. They don't do tours anymore. They stopped that during COVID, and they haven't started it in again. But boy, I'm a chocoholic too, and I'm glad I'm not allergic to it. I admire you for being tough and eating it anyway. But yes, it's a great place. They do have ice cream in there, and I have not tried the ice cream because I'm an ice creamaholic, definitely. And I'm afraid I get off at 2:30. I'm afraid I'd go in there every day at 2:30. So I stay away. But
Good.
I do go buy some chocolate.
I'm glad it's open.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Any other questions?
I have one. Sharolyn, I don't remember if it was you I met at the Rural Mural Conference, the Kansas Mural Making Conference, or if it was Julie. But we were talking, Julie, we were talking about a potential Chisholm Trail art trail for the Kansas cow towns to maybe coincide for when, if ever, we get that trail nationalized. And then you guys have such good luck at probably writing those grants and getting them that we would sure want to be a part of that. Maybe all of us could rally around if you guys have the resources to do the grant writing.
Okay, I'll mention that to Julie, and shall I have her call you?
Yeah, I feel like I took down her information. I just needed to revisit that idea. Hadn't really thought about it till just today. Just came back.
That's a really exciting idea. I'd encourage you to move forward, designation or no. That'd be such a cool attraction up and down the trail, and it could help move us toward designation even, but it would also be good for the communities along the way.
All right, we'll do that.
Any other questions? Sharolyn, I don't know if you can stop share.
See.
where you are, but let's have another round of applause for Sharolyn Adams and the great work they're doing in Abilene.
Thank you. And thank you for bearing with me. I'm not usually an in front of the crowd person, so I'm a little nervous, but you guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharolyn. And we're excited about next month's showcase as well. So let me call on our showcase chair, Lonnie Steben, to tell us about that. Lonnie?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Ron, I'm going to, before we do that, and I don't want you to get a big head here, but I'm not sure that we covered this last month, but I have a piece of paper I found here on my desk that says, congratulations to Ron Wilson on his induction to the Kansas Cowboy Hall of Fame. And ceremony will be held November the 5th, 2022 in Boot Hill, Kansas. So Ron, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Really thanks to Dennis Katzenmeyer, Michael Grauer, some of the people who were part of this group. I think we're part of that nomination or selection process. If you hang around long enough, they have to do something with you. So thank you.
Well, you've put in the hours. Well, we're actually, Michael is, Grauer, that Ron mentioned, is going to take us a tour of the, I guess it's a permanent hat kit. I thought it was temporary, but a hat collection down at the National Cowboy, and it's Ron, how do you pronounce that? I always get mixed up.
Yeah, National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum
in Oklahoma City. That's where we had our last conference. And they have a really great cowboy hat display down there. Jeff and I actually, we were a little late to one of the Native American Museum exhibit. So we got a tour through the hat collection, and there's like John Wayne's hat, Roy Rogers hats. And I mean, there's just, and then of course, Michael has the history of all of the early cowboy hats and everything. It's really an interesting tour. And so he's agreed to do that for us next month. And then Dennis, we're still looking to you for April. So I'm just giving you forewarning here.
All righty, we're ready.
Okay. I haven't got anything lined out for March. So if anybody's got any super ideas for March, that'd be great.
Thank you. Thank you, Lonnie. We are going to have some board member discussion, I think, at the conclusion of this, and all are welcome. But this will conclude our Cattle Trails Showcase for January. So the next showcase, as always, it's the second Friday of the month. So that will be February 10 of 2023. So to close our program today, this is Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate, saying thanks for taking time to join us in this place, and come on back next month for our Cattle Trails Showcase. Happy trails, everyone.
Thank you all.
Happy trails.